Good morning. Who is ready for some Ingrid Nilsen? All right, Ingrid, I think they're ready for you. Come on out. In 3, 2, 1, here she is. Hi.
Hi, guys. Thanks for coming out. I know it's like kind of early in the morning still.
I know, it's bright and early. How is everybody? Are we good? VidCon day 2.
I know.
But VidCon day 1 for you.
Yeah, I went to Disneyland yesterday.
Oh, that's fun.
It was awesome because it's not really that crowded since everybody's here. So it's great. The lines are really short.
What rides did you ride yesterday?
I went on the Haunted Mansion, Indiana Jones, the Cars ride, which I love at California Adventure.
I love the Cars ride.
It's such a cute ride. I love that one.
And like my pro tip is to do the solo rider version because you get through it in like 5 minutes versus the 60-minute wait.
I know, the single rider is such a great like little hack at Disneyland.
Life hack. Mm-hmm. I'm Kirsten Benson. I'm the editorial director of Instant. And Instant is People and Entertainment Weekly's new media outlet that's entirely dedicated to creators like you. And so we are launching this week at VidCon because could you think of a better place to launch? I don't really think so. Ingrid, will you hold that up for a second?
Yes.
If you guys have any questions, feel free to tweet at instant.me, and we'll see if we can get to 1 or 2 at the end. We'll see how we're doing with time.
Okay, cool.
And some other housekeeping.
Oh my gosh.
Pick a box.
Oh my gosh, what is it? I'm just gonna go with box.
Box number 1.
Oh, not open.
Don't open it.
Just
we're gonna leave it somewhere, and we'll get to it, in a few minutes.
All right.
All right.
Surprises.
Now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, we can actually get started. I'm just kidding.
Cool.
You kind of have had like a crazy, crazy year. So I think it was a year ago and a couple weeks since you posted your amazing video, and then you ended up interviewing President Obama, which was nuts. And just talk about meeting the president. Were you nervous?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been so nervous in my entire life than right before meeting the president. I think the weeks building up to that, the nerves were building up, but it really helped because we had so much rehearsal for it in terms of like blocking everything out because the sets were moving, and we had lots of time together, the 3 of us, to get to know each other. So
it was fun.
Like Destin, Swoozie, and I. So that provided like a little safe space for all 3 of us.
You were not all on your own.
Yeah, but my heart was racing.
So when the president walks in, walk us through what happens behind the scenes. Like, is it like everyone's walking around like Secret Service?
Yeah, so obviously security around the president is really tight, and his schedule is also really tight too. Like, it's timed down to the minute. So when they say you have 45 minutes, you have exactly 45 minutes. So before he comes in, the Secret Service comes into the ballroom that we're in where they do press, and they do a sweep, and they kick everybody out that's not supposed to be in there. And then there's like a little lull, it gets really quiet, and then the president walks in. And all of us were just like, oh my God, this is it. This is the moment. This is the moment.
And like, you just stand there and wait for him to come over and shake your hand, and what did you say?
Well, I was the last one to interview him, so I was standing off to the side while Destin and Swoozie did their interviews. So I saw him walk in, and I remember just taking a deep breath. I kind of got some tears in my eyes because I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought that I would be doing something like this. And it was really emotional and special for all of us.
My stomach's like churning a little bit just thinking about, like, I'm nervous for you and it already happened.
I know. I know. It's so surreal, this thing that you've been working towards for weeks because we spent so much time on our questions, preparing for it, and then to see the president actually walk into the room was like, oh my God, he's a real person. He's here.
So you guys talked about this luxury tax on tampons, which I had no idea was a thing, and it's crazy.
Yeah, and it's just a luxury tax on menstrual products in general.
All right.
They call it the tampon tax, but it's actually all period products.
Like
tax.
It's not like we're like dying to like get to use a tampon.
I know. That's why I told the president, I was like, I don't know anyone that has a period that would call it a luxury. I mean, I definitely don't think it's a luxury.
I mean, sometimes I'm happy, but like, for the most part, yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah, and it's like these things are actually essential. Like, they're not a luxury. Like, if we don't have them, what is our other option?
Right. Well, so you basically told President Obama about this. He didn't even know it was a thing.
Yeah.
Were you surprised?
I was actually really surprised. I thought that it was something that he would know. And so when he said that he didn't know about it, inside I was just like, oh my gosh.
You're like, hard-hitting exclusive right here, people.
But at the same time, I had just learned about it recently too, and I'm somebody that has a period. So it was really a big moment. I was just in shock that he didn't know. And I was also really impressed with the way that he answered the question, because he didn't know it was coming. He didn't know that the law even existed. And I think that he navigated through it really well.
For people who haven't watched it, what did he say?
He basically said, the reason, because my question was, why does this law exist? And what does this say about how women are viewed even today by their governments? And his answer was, this is a case of one of those laws that was created in a time where only men were creating laws, and it has stuck around. And he said that the one thing that I was like, I understand what you're saying, but I think this is on all of us, because he was saying the women in these states where these laws exist, because it is state by state, need to work to reform these laws. And I think it's really on all of us, not just the women. Because, in states like Utah, where they have tried to reform these laws, women are presenting these reforms to a committee of men who then veto everything.
Well, we're not the majority.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really difficult. And we need men on our side to help us with this. So it really is on all of us. Yes!
And half the time you see guys buying the products anyway for their girlfriends or significant others.
Exactly. At least I hope so.
They're paying the tax too.
Yeah, totally. And this affects everyone. It's not just people who have periods. It's also, the other people in your life as well.
I want to ask you, because you're talking about gender discrimination, and you're going after it like the cure for cancer. You're fighting it so hard, and I love it. Talk about joining 7 UN change ambassadors.
Oh, did your mic just?
It's gone. Now
there
back.
we go.
So talk to us a little bit about joining the 7 UN change ambassadors and what that means.
That is something that I am so honored to be a part of, because I feel like I'm being supported by the UN, and I'm being given this even broader space to talk about something that I'm so passionate about. And in conjunction with that, there are other women that I absolutely adore, and we're all passionate about gender equality in different ways. And it's so cool to see what each person is bringing to the table.
So we talked about the tampon tax. What else are you fighting or working toward?
My big thing, when we initially went into the UN, I told them that I would not leave this room until we were in agreement that gender equality didn't just mean cis women's equality, because that was everything that they were presenting to us during the day. And it was a long conversation that we had to have around the table. A lot of educating had to be done. And I was like, I will not leave this space. I will not be part of this program unless this is true gender equality. And that means men, women, everyone, and anyone in between. This is not just cis women's equality.
That's pretty incredible.
It's important, and it's important for people to understand. And so I was really impressed and proud of the UN for being willing to learn and stepping up right there with me.
These issues have you started out, you were doing beauty mostly on your channel, and now here you are at the UN at the table, and you're interviewing the president, and you, I think, completely opened up this conversation when you came out on your channel. When you first pressed play on that first video or upload on that first video, did you ever expect it to get to this point?
Oh my God, no. I was having this conversation yesterday, and when I started making videos back in 2009, this was not something that people were even doing as their job. It was a totally new frontier, and I started making videos because I was grieving the death of my father. I was trying to overcome, just personal hurdles within myself, and I found it to be this very helpful outlet for me to be creative and to be able to express myself and to connect with other people. That was the biggest thing, the connection that I was building and forming with people that I had never met before.
And a lot of them are in here.
Yes.
How have your fans helped you and supported you throughout the years?
Oh my gosh. I feel like it's this relationship that I can't describe other than using the word intimate, because that's what it feels like. I feel like we have just been holding each other's hands through it all, and it's something that I value so much and that I carry with me every single day. And there's this Maya Angelou quote that I love where she says, "Be a rainbow in someone's cloud." And I feel like my viewers are my little rainbows that I draw strength from whenever I'm feeling down or I'm going through something difficult, or like I'm sitting at the UN like fighting for something that the majority of people in the room don't understand. Like, I'm drawing from my rainbows, and you guys are my rainbows. So thank you.
Awesome. I want to talk a little bit about cyberbullying is such an issue, and when you have so many rainbows here, but then I'm sure that you run into some comments that are a little bit disparaging or not positive. How do you handle that?
You can't control judgments from other people. Like,
right.
People are going to think what they want to think. They're going to place judgments on you, unfortunately, if they feel like it. But what you do have control over is how you navigate that and how you manage that. And what I've learned is that feelings are transient. And so naturally, when somebody says something cruel or mean to you, that sucks. And you're going to feel that. And I think it's important to feel that and to receive those feelings. But because feelings are transient, while you have the power to receive them and feel them, you also have the power to let go of them.
Right.
And let them go. Because there is that point where usually if you pay attention, your body is like, okay, we're ready to let this go. And the dangerous thing is falling into that shame spiral, the pit of shame, where it's like, what's wrong with me? There's something wrong with me. I'm unlovable. Like, it's
so easy to do, though. When someone's talking about you, it's like, it's hard to keep those things away.
Especially when it is directly at you, and it's hard to understand that what they're saying actually most likely is not directly about you.
Yeah, that's true.
And the shame pit is a really dangerous one to fall into. And one of my favorite quotes from Cheryl Strayed is, "There's nothing to eat down there except your own soul." And whenever I find myself beating myself up, like this is my fault, like there's something wrong with me, I'm unlovable, I remind myself, you can't stay down here, because do you want to eat your own soul? Nope. So claw your way out. And it really is like clawing your way out of this hole.
Is there anything that we can do to try to like combat this? I know you can control your own feelings, and that definitely helps, but are there any things that like your rainbows can do that we can do to really combat bullying online in general? It's a hard question. I can't figure out the answer to that one either.
I think it comes down to, spaces like YouTube actually making like more strict guidelines, like actually outlining what is bullying. And we don't have these like defined terms. We don't have defined guidelines and rules and, essentially like repercussions for people who are trolling and who are actually like being abusive and harassing other people. Those guidelines don't exist, and they need to exist. And I think that the responsibility lies in these platforms like YouTube to make it a safe space. And yes, it is important for people to have freedom of speech and to be able to express their opinions, but being cruel is not an opinion. Discriminating is not an opinion. So that's not okay, and things need to change. And I think that they have the power to do that, and they need to push aside, all of this I'm going to refrain from using profanity, but you need to push aside all the bureaucratic BS and take care of people.
This has turned into a really deep conversation.
Yeah, as it normally does. I'm very passionate about this. I think that our spaces should be safer, and this is something that is really important to me, and I think it's important to all of you out there. And I'm tired of, people ignoring it and just saying, well, freedom of speech. People can say whatever they want.
Right.
No, they can't. It's not okay for people to be abused and harassed.
That's that. Totally agree. I think you'll like this question. Celia Hart. I don't know, where are you, Celia? What book or magazine is a source of inspiration for you?
I call it my little green Bible. It's by Cheryl Strayed. It's a book of quotes called Brave Enough, and I literally carry it everywhere with me. And I flip through it, and there's always something that I can draw from. And I just find that her writing really resonates with me, and I give it to people whenever they have a birthday, because it's been something so powerful for me, and I want to pass that energy along to the other people in my life.
Do you sign the book for your friends?
I normally write something in there that is, personal between the two of us, and I tell them why I'm giving them the book, and it's really beautiful to be able to pass something on that is so special and has been so comforting for me to other people that are special to me in my life.
I have friends who do that too, and I love it. Sometimes they'll highlight passages in the book, and it's like a little gift again when you find it.
I know. It is so powerful when somebody is able to articulate what you have been feeling inside and haven't been able to fully figure out. And when you read those words, you can just burst into tears sometimes, and it's just like somebody sees me, and that is so important, to feel like you are being seen and heard.
Taylor Lewis also has a great question. Taylor Lily 1013. Oh, there you are. Hi. What advice do you have for people who want to make a change in the world but maybe don't have your level of attention?
I think that we're all capable of making change, and we hear this all the time. Like, conversation and awareness is the first step, and it really is. Like, you have the power to make change within your friend group. Even if it's like two of you, you have the power to make change. And I think with social media now, you have so much power, because you can post and you can share what you think, and it's just so easy to see what other people are thinking and what they're sharing, and the information is just around us all the time. And so even if you're not in a position where you have lots and lots of followers, I think just having a conversation with somebody that's like sitting next to you on an airplane, which has happened to me so many times, you can walk away from that conversation creating change. And that is so powerful, because that's one more person.
I think it's all about putting a face to the cause too. Like when people meet you and you start talking about something, and it's not so isolating, and the other people.
And something that I think is so important for us to remember is that we are more the same than we are different. That's another Cheryl Strayed quote, by the way. And I love it, because we are. When you meet someone, you realize, oh my gosh, this is another human being. We are actually, at our core, more the same than we are different. We want the same things at the end of the day. Regardless of our political beliefs, a lot of us are striving for the same end goals, and that's important to remember.
You mentioned social media, and I'd like to just pick your brain a little bit, because we get this question a lot. What advice do you have for people who are trying to launch their channels, but then also, can you talk a little bit about your schedule? Because I know it's really important to stick to a schedule, especially when you're your own boss.
Yeah, so the advice that I have for people starting out is to do it because you feel like it's that feeling that you get kind of right here between your stomach and your heart, where you just feel this pull that you can't quite explain, that you have something to share and something to say. Follow that and do it because you feel it there. And in terms of having a schedule, for me, this was something that I had to learn the hard way because, oh my God, the idea of being in my pajamas all day and being on my laptop sounds like the most amazing thing, and it is for a little while, but then you realize, oh, I have no boundaries, and I don't know where work begins or work ends, and my personal life begins. And a lot of times you find yourself just always working and always on, and that's not healthy to operate
to feed your soul. You
and
can't do it.
I think also as women, especially, we experience this guilt when we're not on and we're not working. We feel guilty walking away from that. And I think it's important for all of us to remember that it's okay to give yourself a break. Like, you have to take care of you before you can take care of other people. So do what you need to do. Create the boundaries in your life that you need to take care of you and to give yourself that mental space. Because especially if you're doing something creative, you're not going to be able to have those free-flowing creative moments unless you are relaxed. Those are when the most beautiful things and thoughts happen and come to you. Those are when you get those like aha moments, is when you're relaxed, and you have to give yourself that space to do that.
Can you talk about a time that maybe you hit a block where you're just like, I don't know what to say right now, or I'm not feeling inspired? Has that ever happened to you?
Oh yeah, all the time. And usually when I think that happened to me more often a few years ago when I was really like trying to work through a lot of personal stuff myself. But I think blocks just naturally happen, especially when you've just been going.
Right.
And whenever I experience a block, that is a sign that I'm taking from my body, hey, take 2 or 3 days.
Go to Disneyland.
Yeah, take 2 or 3 days off and take care of yourself, because this is the sign that you're about to have a meltdown, and we don't want that to happen. So just stop for a second. The world is not going to fall apart, and that's something that I have to remember. And it's hard to let go of those guilty feelings because I love what I do. And it makes it even harder when you have to step away from something that you love for a little bit to take care of what's going on here.
What do you do when besides going to Disneyland, what do you do to like take a load off or to have fun?
I love reading. I find a lot of comfort in literature. I always have. I also go on long drives because I find that driving is a place where I'm able to be reflective. And I was actually reading this article in the Sunday Times from last week where they were talking about how connected we are all the time, which is really great, but it doesn't provide a space for reflection, which is really important because while we're intaking so much information, we don't have the time to reflect on it and really like sink into it. And that is so crucial to our process as human beings. And whenever I've had like a long day or I just feel like I need to sit with myself for a little bit, I go on a drive, I put on some music, and I just drive literally aimlessly, and I'm able to reflect. And when I come back home, I feel relaxed and more centered.
What do you listen to?
Oh, sometimes it's just like some random song on repeat. I went through a phase of Taylor Swift, like New Romantics on repeat.
It's so good.
Just for like literally hours, like just the same song. There's also a song that got remixed recently called Fast Car.
Yes, no, it's really good. It's on the top of my playlist right now.
That remix is so good, and I played that Fast Car while I'm driving my car. Not fast, though. I'm actually a pretty slow driver.
It's such a peaceful song, and the way they did it, it's just so beautiful, and it tells such a good story.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure you've heard it, but if you haven't, go listen to the remix and listen to the original, too. Because
yes, it is. They're both really great.
Really, really good. We have less than a minute, and I want to make sure we get to that challenge.
Oh, yes, the secret box.
What's behind door number 1?
Okay, what's behind door number 1? Let's see.
Oh, it's smaller than I anticipated.
Tweet a video of the crowd. Hashtag instant challenge. Is that what I'm going to be doing?
I think that's what you're doing. Do
okay,
you even have
do I
your
have
phone?
a phone here?
All right, we'll capture it and we'll post it later. Here's the phone.
All right.
Are you guys ready to really like make some noise?
Yeah,
I think we gotta like, get them ready to go.
Are we gonna be in this together?
I think you should do a quick "Hi, I'm here," and then we'll
I'll turn it on to you guys because
I think that's
I don't
smart.
want to be putting you guys on the spot. We're in this together, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Let's just do a practice. Let me see rainbows. How loud can you be? 1.
Yeah, that's great. You guys are awesome.
I think that's gonna work well.
I'm so impressed with you morning people. Yay. Okay.
Do you know how to work an iPhone? Yeah?
Oh, that is on you. I should know how to work a phone.
If you need help, let me know.
All right, I am here on stage with so many of my rainbows. Oh my gosh, yay! Oh my gosh, you guys are amazing. Thank you.
You guys were amazing. Have an amazing day. Ingrid, thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Thank you. This has been awesome. Thank you so much for coming out. Have a wonderful time at VidCon.